Hey gals, guys, and otherwise, we're mixing it up a bit this episode and handing the reins over to Make Stuff's much better half, Haley Roselion, so she can tell you about one of the most talented and inspiring people just ever. So take it away, Haley, and take it away, Mr. 1950s narrator man.
In the studio of Jackie Ormes, one of the few women cartoonists, the popular comic strip characters of Torchy and Heartbeat and Patti Jo literally spring to life. Syndicated in scores of newspapers, her cartoons reach more than 1 million readers each week.
Good job, Mr. 1950s narrator man. You're right. Jackie Ormes was one of the few women cartoonists of her day, but she was also the only African-American woman cartoonist at the time, and the very first. And Jackie Ormes will be remembered as an unstoppable force. There's something you can point to in every creative's childhood that will pretty much tell you what kind of preoccupations they'll pursue, hinting at the unrelenting defiance that would follow her through life when the world told young Zelda Jackie Jackson, "This is a bar of soap for, washing." She would say, "No world, this is art," and craft a beautiful tiny sculpture out of it. Anyone out there who loves miniature things and or Castle Rock as much as I do can appreciate that. By the time Jackie graduated from high school in 1930, women made up just 21% of the workforce, and even then the positions they took were mostly quote-unquote women's work, like teachers, secretaries, household help. But Jackie had a different path in mind. Her ambition and persistence landed her a job as a proofreader at the Pittsburgh Courier at just 18. But even if you were a working woman in this era, that usually ended when you got married. There were even marriage bars at the time, policies that required women to be fired once they got married. Naturally, Jackie didn't buckle under those expectations when she married Earl Ormes in 1931. Instead, she went on to make history. At the time when Jackie decided she wanted to get into cartooning for real, the black community had very little representation in mainstream American comics, and when they did show up in comics, well, this advice from a 1944 cartooning instruction manual might give you an idea of the way mainstream comics thought black Americans should be portrayed.
The colored people are good subjects for action pictures. They are natural-born humorists and will often assume ridiculous attitudes or say side-splitting things with no apparent intention of being funny. The cartoonist usually plays on the colored man's love for loud clothes, watermelon, chicken, crap shooting, fear of ghosts, etc. Wait, why do I have to read the racist stuff?
Thankfully, Jackie Ormes was there to challenge that. In stark contrast to most comic strips in the mid-1930s, Jackie's first comic, Torchy Brown and Dixie to Harlem, offered a look at the real lives of black Americans. The strip starred a bold young woman from rural Mississippi who leaves home to pursue her dream of performing at Harlem's famous Cotton Club. This echoed the real-life Great Migration, when large numbers of black Americans from southern states began moving to northern cities in search of better opportunities. Jackie wanted to help uplift black citizens by showing intelligent, capable characters like themselves. As the Second World War raged, so did many African-American-run newspapers, protesting the oppressive social and political policies that burdened the black community. But the funny papers, aka the comics pages of the newspapers, had a unique advantage. While editors and writers would often be threatened and intimidated into reining in their content, cartoonists were largely left alone, and with a lack of oversight, they could criticize unjust policies without consequence. When Jackie began her second comic, Candy, published in the Chicago Defender, she took the opportunity to protest the low pay and unfit working conditions a lot of black domestic workers would endure in white households. A beautiful, well-spoken, wisecracking housemaid jabs at the moral hypocrisy of her unseen employer. But what was most interesting was Jackie's approach. A lot of comics with political overtones at the time could be merciless, directly attacking policies or people. But Jackie used a more approachable setup to lampoon important issues. Candy only ran for 4 months, but Jackie already had her next idea in mind, and it would be her most successful yet. Now, it wasn't just the personalities and behaviors of black Americans that mainstream cartoonists distorted. Black characters were usually ugly stereotypes, clueless with an obvious lack of sophistication, often in simple clothing or with disheveled appearances. Many white people actually couldn't fathom an elegant or stylish black person. Jackie Ormes made it her mission to challenge that. Patti Jo Ginger debuted in the Pittsburgh Courier in 1947, and from the get-go, readers were hooked. Following a quick-witted 5-year-old girl and her wordless but hella cute older sister, Jackie's new duo always wore the latest fashions with stylish home decor and leisure lifestyles. A typical comic might show its black characters as hired servants. Patti Jo and Ginger would be shown walking out of a movie palace, heads held high. Here again was Jackie's commitment to racial uplift and challenging the accepted mainstream view of black Americans, offering them the dignity, respect, and proper representation they deserved. Children included. Jackie also helped develop a Patti Jo doll, one of the first upscale American black dolls, with the thought that, as she said, black children needed models of self-esteem in their playthings. It was around this time that Jackie's work started becoming more and more popular, but she didn't just sit back and enjoy it. Jackie went out and advocated for civil rights and community advancement in her daily life outside of her creative pursuits too. In her cartooning heyday of the 1950s, Jackie would capitalize on her fame to raise money for charity and social justice causes. She'd attend community and charity events, speak on panels for high school career days, and answer letters asking for advice, encouraging young people to pursue their dreams despite any obstacles, just like she'd done her entire life. A few years after Patti Jo and Ginger began, Jackie started another comic that would run for 4 years, this time a full strip, in full color. Torchy Heartbeats followed a socially conscious, mature young career woman. Kinda like a spy story with a whole lot of romance, the comic touched on, you guessed it, issues surrounding race and the experience of women at the time, but also things like environmental pollution, a virtually unheard of issue at the time. But by the mid-1950s, Jackie's hands had started to stiffen and ache in the mornings. It was a sign of the rheumatoid arthritis that would eventually make it impossible for her to move without suffering extreme pain. When Patti Jo came to an end in 1956, it also signaled the end of Jackie's cartooning career. Jackie Ormes was unstoppable. Like the bars of soap she'd sculpted into works of art as a kid, she sculpted her world into the world she wanted to see. And when she'd achieved her own dreams, she dedicated the rest of her life to helping others achieve theirs. Jackie drew until she physically could not hold her drawing tools anymore. And even then, when most people would quit, she picked up a paintbrush instead, and she continued to paint for years. She refused to back down even when her own body began to deteriorate. And after everything, she still didn't feel entitled to even be remembered. In 1985, just months before she died, Jackie said in an interview with the Chicago Reader, "I'm always surprised when people remember me." 33 years later, she was immortalized in the Will Eisner Comic Industry Hall of Fame. Jackie Ormes will be remembered as a trailblazer. She'll be remembered as a philanthropist, a feminist, a caring and compassionate human being. She'll be remembered as the first Black American woman cartoonist. Jackie Ormes will be remembered as an unstoppable force. Hey gals, guys, and otherwise.
Actually, it's more like, hey, gals, guys, and otherwise.
Hey gals, guys, and otherwise.
You did it. Perfect. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you, Haley, for making the dang thing. It turned out so cool and gorgeous, and you have make stuff now. It's yours. And who else do we want to shout out here?
I would love to give a big shout out to Nancy Goldstein and her book, Jackie Ormes, the First African-American Woman Cartoonist. It is amazing, and this video would not be possible without it, and her tireless research. So yeah, you can go buy the book. The link is in the description, or you can check out your local library. It's probably there too.
Do that, please. And also, who did this awesome thumbnail art?
That is B. Arakaki, and she's an amazing artist. You can check out more of her work on her Instagram and Twitter. Links are in the description.
Cool. And we were able to pay for B. Arakaki's artwork through the Make Stuff Patreon, which pays for everything we do. You get exclusive videos, you get everything a week early on there, you get podcasts, you get comics. You can even get a shout out at the end of every video, like these dope patrons. You take the first one.
Tyler Anderson, we love you.
Thank you, Tyler. Houston, great person/city.
Julie Rimley, you're awesome.
Indeed. TC Arkenberg, you're pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
You're awesome. Thank you.
Kira Greenfield, you're awesome too.
Agreed. Kathy Murphy, you're the best in the planet.
Sandy Swagger, you know you're great.
In case you didn't, you're great. And all these other dope patrons, you are all beautiful, wonderful, kind, considerate human beings, and I love you very much, more than Haley does, and she can't. I'm not gonna keep talking, so she can't say otherwise. And go check out that Patreon, and go check out that book, and go check out that art, and as always,
go make stuff.
Okay, she gets to say it. Go make stuff. You already said it.
No, I said it.
All right. And legally, you own Make Stuff now. You've
I mean-
Highlandered me.
Oh, all right.
Guess I'll just go die.
Yeah, no, go over there. Go in the corner.
All right. I live here now.